All right, check one, check two. This is it. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour.
We started?
With your host, me, Rob Cantrell. I got a great guest, my good friend. I just started the show on him because we both, we hung out outside for a minute.
Yeah, man.
But give it up for Seaton Smith. Seaton has opened for John Mulaney. He opened for the band The Strokes. He started in D.C. I'm sorry to even talk kind of show busy to you right now, but because we go back.
Why not? Name all the credits. Open up for Bill Burr.
Yeah, you opened up for Bill Burr. When did you do that?
For his 2012 special.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. That was really cool.
Yeah, where was that?
That was in D.C.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he did it at the Lincoln Theater.
You went to the Lincoln Theater?
Yeah, man. It was awesome. Got to open up for him, and it was like, because I got to open up before that for Norton, Attell, Jim Brewer, and Bill Burr were doing this theater tour. Or not even theater, it was maybe like a half arena tour. It was like, because I remember they let me open up for them at the Warner Theater. No, was it Warner? Yeah, I want to say it was or Constitution.
Yeah, Constitution
They let me
Hall.
open, yeah, they opened up for the Constitution Hall.
I remember those tours right before Bill Burr super blew up, and it was kind of like a lot of the New York crew that was almost Tough Crowd, and then Jim Brewer.
No, it was
and
actually.
then you did a tour with Charlie Murphy.
No,
No,
I
you
didn't do
never
Charlie Murphy.
did?
That was that was Jermaine who got to do Charlie Murphy.
Okay.
We were all jealous of that one. Nah,
Yeah.
I got to do the only thing I got to do was the Opie Anthony tour when they were doing those big arenas.
That's what I remember.
And that's what introduced me to Norton and Burr and
The New
all
York
people.
scene. Yeah.
Let me do. I was these are the greats, and it was like dope because I remember after that they did autograph signing, and then like Patrice O'Neal was there, and I was like, well, I ain't doing no autograph signing. He was like, yeah, you just got on stage, you're doing an autograph signing, come here. And it was
Oh,
dope.
for real?
Yeah, he forced me to come. I was
Oh,
like,
man.
No, Patrice has been like, overwhelmingly a wonderful human being to me. Like they always say behind the scenes, he's an asshole, but I don't know. He went to me. He was just like a godsend Jesus to me. Just always kind, always pulled me around to give me advice. I would be I'm not good enough. He's like, no, man, sit down, talk to me.
Oh, yeah. He liked you. He liked you.
He was a good person.
But yeah, Patrice was good to me, man. Everybody has these horror stories, and we co-headlined at Stand Up New York on a New Year's.
Really?
Not to brag. I'm trying not to brag. I don't
No,
want
that's braggable. That's
No,
braggable.
yeah. I guess we can make this a full stand-up episode. I just interviewed a musician. You're too cool to come through and do this, Seaton, because that's what we know each other from stand-up. You are
Yeah.
hardcore stand-up. Seaton is hardcore everything these days. He came here on a motorcycle. He's opening for rock bands. He's doing MMA. He's directing films. That's when you were a stand-up in D.C., but you were also into filmmaking.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I went to film school, went to Howard, and I remember when I was a kid, my dad had a camera, so I just played around in the house a lot, and then learned how to edit within the camera, and then went to Howard and made some fun, weird films. Because by then I got really weird. It was late '90s, and that was when like indie films were like hot, and so like Fight
This
Club.
sounds cool, man.
Oh yeah, so like, yeah, definitely being like that weird black kid at that black school. I was really into like Atlanta.
It's not to cut you off. What was Howard Film School like, man?
Awesome.
What was it like going? Yeah, that's
Awesome.
what I would think.
I mean, awesome. I mean, like,
Who was the teachers? Like, what would they have? Like, you had
actually,
black
no,
filmmakers from D.C. and New York. They probably would have major cats.
They did. They would have cool people like I remember Harry Belafonte came to just talk to us for an hour about stuff.
Oh my God! Classic.
Yeah,
one of the greats.
Yeah, it was really fun to hear his industry. He was so angry and bitter. It was awesome. It was awesome to hear because now, especially 20 years in the business, I see exactly what he's talking about. Except that was 70 years ago. It was much worse. No, I'm definitely on his side. But it's
What was his angle? But he went on to he did make a lot of money. He did huge movies.
Yes.
And first killed it in music.
Yes.
Then killed it in movies.
Yeah, he did. And he killed in producing. Like
he
would
produced
like, some of
Beat
the
Street, dude.
great
I think you
movies.
could look it up. I don't know. Hiram, can you look that up?
I mean,
I think he produced Beat Street.
I want to say he produced Uptown Saturday Night. Like he talked about that, and he was just like, I remember he told a long story of like I read the script and I was like, this is crap. What do you? No, we're not gonna make this. He's like, we got all these stars. He was like, I mean, fine. And then they called me up there, but we want to make a part 2. He's like, but that was crap. He was like, all right, make part 2. It was like he was just so real. I was like, yo, Harry Belafonte is the man.
What did he do? Did he do a speech or did he teach a class?
No, Howard would just.
He just did appearance.
Howard was the type of place that black people who were important and cool would just show up and talk for an hour. That was kind of the place. It was
That's
like,
awesome.
No, like Bill Cosby once came, like during his rant. There was a rant in the early 2000s, which I actually believe this is why the sexual allegations came out, because he went on this whole black people need to get their self together joke, the rant, and then. I
remember this.
And the backlash was that joke. It was just a joke. Like, why are you talking on this chat? And so, I guess maybe people on the podcast don't exactly know the entire context, so I'll tell you. Bill Cosby, his entire act was being wonderful and clean, as we know. But then for some reason, right after his second Cosby show ended, he started just wearing Crocs and wearing a sweater and walking around and just telling that black people, there's a bunch of black people holding us back from rising. Y'all need to pull up the bootstraps and get it together. It was a weird rant, and it kept going. This is before the internet was hot, so people kind of forgot about it.
I remember
And
that.
then I remember Hannibal just made a joke, like, why are you talking like
Black
black
people don't like to be told. Nobody likes to be told what to do.
He just said, why are you on a high horse? You rape people. That was just his whole point. It was his whole point.
And it was out there, too.
Yeah. So
it was out there.
So it was like one of those, if you didn't talk trash, he wouldn't have got charged right back. It was like one of those interesting. So, I don't even know how I got this chance.
But,
I was saying like, no, actually I forgot what I was talking
Howard,
about.
you know? I was just thinking about
I saw
filmmaking at Howard. And then I also got the Hiram just said, Harry Belafonte did produce the film Beat Street, which is very important to me,
Yes,
which is the core of New York hip-hop. It wasn't the core. It documented it in a very Hollywood way.
Yeah.
But he was the dude that moved the script.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Move the script to the studio.
Those people are important. No, he was a yes. I mean, not yet. Like, a person who can get a movie greenlit is a powerful man.
He's a powerful man. That's millions of dollars moving across the table.
Especially in the 70s when, like, the 70s was like when white people were really dying in the industry. This is another untold story. Blaxploitation saved Hollywood because, like, in the mid-70s, there was really no good blockbuster white movies. Westerns had died. Action movies hadn't started yet.
I can see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
I understand. That makes sense because, and those, the blaxploitation movies was kind of just would pack the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
People would come out, and at the end of the day, you know show business, selling tickets.
Exactly. And 70s, like, it was like a weird thing. If you watch the 70s, big movies of the 70s are all auteur movies, really interesting, like
Totally.
Let's all as a family go watch these movies. Nobody wanted to go.
No. You had to go through some trauma to see some of these, like,
Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kids.
Deliverance. You can go down the line. Like I was thinking, Southern Comfort. There's like all these.
Dog Day Afternoon.
Dog Day Afternoon. Just gnarly. And mind gnarly.
Mm-hmm. And then behind that, you have Dolomite. What's your choice? You know what I'm saying? You want to have fun tonight. You go Dog Day Afternoon or Dolomite.
You gotta see Dolomite. What I love about Dolomite is he was a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
You know, Mitch Green was the comic he didn't like.
Yeah,
and he had a battle with Mitch Green. He did stand-up and karate.
I think that's interesting. I mean, black people also, that's another weird untold thing. Black people were doing so much karate in the 70s. Like, there were so many stories of, like, pimps and thugs.
Bruce Lee and Wu-Tang Clan. I mean, I think it comes from, like, watching those movies. Like, I'm old enough to know that I think it was either Saturday or Sunday. It was after the cartoons. They would run karate joints.
I would say that, but those were 90s. They were 90s kids. They weren't 70s kids. You talk to 70s dudes, because, like, there was a big the Asian wave that came in the 60s.
Tell me.
They were this is something I've actually because I'm talking to these people. There's a big Brooklyn black martial arts community. And that stems from a few Asians that came to America, and they broke the stereotypes of, like, teaching people
That's
in
what
America.
Bruce Lee was, like, going to share the secret, and the elders got bumped.
Yeah, but he was, like, 10, 15 years before that. So, like, he was the one getting, like, the punishment. Well, no, I'm lying. He was in the 60s. So, but then by the time the 70s came around, the wave came, there was, like, so many there's this cool movie called Black.
You got karate magazines. You got dojos on every corner. And instead of weed shops, it was dojos.
Yeah, and there was all this real fighting. And, like, you watch this movie called Fighting Black Kings, where, like, they were actually sparring with no gear. not knowing what they were doing, just breaking each other's bones, having fun. I'm like, oh, that's such a stupid way to live life.
Well, dude, football and face masks were only like, just like one bar.
Yeah, man.
They couldn't figure that out.
Exactly, and their way of like rehabbing was cocaine. It was a wild time in the 70s.
And whiskey.
Yeah, man, that was. Whew.
Yeah, the 70s were gnarly. I was born in 1972, and I do remember it. I remember when the calendar went 79 to 80. I was in D.C. in the 3rd grade at Brent Elementary in Northeast D.C.
Wow.
Probably 78% black. I remember that specifically, that in the 80s were different. It was like the light and day. And then this just neon 80s, it was like just came, you know, and hip hop came. But the 70s was, Richard Pryor was big, and that's what was big. And Bruce Lee and Richard Pryor is what I remember pop culturally. And John Belushi, pop culturally out of the 70s.
I can see that. I can see that completely. Yeah, I look at the shift too. You go like, sometimes.
How do you know so much about the 70s?
I'm obsessed with old shit. Like, especially after
music and film?
Yeah.
Or karate?
I just like my dad's a political science professor. Was a political science professor.
Political science.
And so like I got
professor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have a joke about it. Wrote 7 books on it.
He was a doctorate. You got
doctorate. He taught. Yeah. He taught at Cal State Fuller for 30 years.
At Cal State?
Yes.
He had his doctorate and became a professor at Cal. That's a dope job.
I mean, yeah.
Living in California?
Yeah, he was really responsible for getting a lot of black professors hired. He was really a real diligent man.
That's beautiful, man. God bless your dad.
God bless him, man. Yeah, absolutely.
I know he just we were talking about it. I don't want to go super deep on this podcast, but you're going through it, and you're but professionally, you're doing really well. You
Thanks,
know?
Man. Yeah, man. It's been a busy ass year. It's been nice. It's been full. Came out with a special, opened up for Mulaney, and he was like, why don't you make a special? Put some content out. I was like, all right. And so then I was like, can I shoot it at Madison Square Garden? He was like, why Madison Square Garden? I was like, why not? And so that was cool. So that was a cool experience to do something like that. And then hanging out with
Dude, tell me about that. So you shot. So you're opening for John Mulaney, as everybody knows, is one of the most famous dudes in excellent stand-up comedy, excellent dude.
Just a master genius. It's really cool. Yeah, just
smart, master, funny, and just big time. And he was sold out the Garden. When did you tell him? Like a week before or like 2 months before? When did you spring like, I'm going to shoot the special here?
It was like, sincerely, it was like maybe February.
Okay.
No, like
you gave him like
March.
a month, and he was cool
March,
with it.
Yeah, we shot it in July, June or July. No,
how big of a crew did you use?
5 people, 6 people. No, wait, maybe like 6 or 7 people.
Did you put that all together, or did you hire a production company?
I got a producer. I started working with Marcus Russell Price, wonderful genius director type dude, and then I got a couple dudes from my old DC days. A guy named Ron Ross, whom I've worked with since college.
Yes.
So like me and him shot specials like for cheap, obviously, back in DC. And so it's kind of cool. We've already done it 2 or 3 times already. So
you put this together with your smart cat friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to film school, so like I kind of already like knew what I wanted. And like I hated everybody else's special. It's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like many specials, and I hate especially the cookie cutter ones. And my biggest fear always was like a blessing in disguise. I always wanted to get on Comedy Central, but I never really wanted to get on Comedy Central because I knew they would edit it wrong. I was always like, I remember I did a special for Epics, and I saw that shit, and I was like, this is not done right. What the fuck? They missed my rhythm. They missed the fucking point. They missed the beginning. What is this? And I was like, all right, well, fine.
No, you need a funny editor.
You need a funny editor. Who knows the energy. Who knows knows
the energy. The director knows what you're doing. If you just get randos that are just hired out of nowhere to pick you up and cut you up, it comes off odd.
I think a lot of it too is like I looked at it as a filmmaker versus like a comedian because like I noticed that when you look at the first specials, the really good ones, they weren't just covering. They were like, you don't know. They were treating you like you had no idea what was going to happen. So they had to sit there and go, all right, this is a comedian. That's a crowd. They're here. Something's going to happen. You know, you're like, oh, they're setting up a situation. And then I'm like, you look at the evolution of specials, then they just have shit happening before the special that has nothing to do with the special. But I was like, oh, wait a minute. So then I started just looking at like, oh, wait, a whole organic. So then I started looking, all right, I have my Madison Square Garden. How do I convey to them how silly this is? And it was just like, just the ideas started coming together. And then by the time, it was like, oh, dope. So I don't know. It was like dope. I sat there. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I have a character conflict situation here.
And how did you release it? That's brilliant, man.
Yeah, I released it on YouTube. But the way before that, I hooked up with more DC friends who had wild ideas to do collabs. But then this cool thing, they were like, why don't you get a billboard in Times Square? And I was like, how you do that? I got a friend. All right, I'm like, because in my head, you know, when you think about dreams and careers, you see yourself on billboards.
No, I like being on the billboard. I like my name up there, man. We're working hard.
But you assume there's somebody, you know, doing it for you.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to put me on a billboard. And you never think to yourself, I'm going to put myself on that damn billboard. And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, I like that. I like putting myself on a billboard. I hate asking people to help me. Hell no.
No, it's promo, man. It's all promo. And like you said, it's the same way as you shot if somebody else did it, they would do it weird, make you look weird in Times Square. At least you know, like, well, I know it's in focus, and you know I look cool.
Yeah, and I also like pick my designers that I want. Like I also like, you know, like it's like a burden and it's a blessing and a curse, like being independent, because when, you know, there's a time where we all dream where like somebody sees your talent, they have a machine, they put you in the machine, and they form everything that's important. They know the people who like you, they know the outfits you should wear, the words you should say, and suddenly go. And now it's like, nah, nigga, do all that yourself, and then we're gonna make more money when you figure it out. But on the plus side, it's like, oh, dude, like you sit there and go, like, who is the person you actually want to be as a human being? Sit it down, write it down, and try to be that motherfucker every day.
Every day.
Then see if you would resonate with people.
And it ends up coming, you got to make a lot of the hard decisions, or even the little decisions yourself. And you know, putting together this podcast, you know, you just got to dig it out.
Yeah, and questions you don't want to like ask yourself, and then you got to sit there and go, I got to ask, what actually is this? And then make a bad choice, and then go the other way, and be like, that ain't me. But I'm
doing that with stand-up, like now, like what am I actually trying to say here? Are you doing that? Like, or you always had kind of a conscious?
I had a consciousness.
I went funny. I'm still funny and silly. I'm pure goofball at the end of the day.
Yeah. My problem is sometimes I'll stop being silly. Nah, I had a technical detail issue. That was my main problem. Like I already knew. Because I read Pryor's books. He was like, my biggest problem was I wasn't honest. I was like, fuck it, I'm always gonna be honest then. But he doesn't talk about his technical arc, where he was like, I had to learn this in order to figure out that, and da-da-da. Like he doesn't, like George Carlin and Richard Pryor to me, I think they're master artists, but they never point out that they both worked on a sketch show together. They were both normal motherfuckers. Then they worked on a sketch show together, and they both left that show and created counterculture characters. They all sent into this one show in the 60s. You go,
what was it, Laughing?
Was that Laughing? Because
I think Laughing, they may have worked on that, and you're saying the counterculture
character did not exist.
It was the Hippy Dippy Man that was a Weeded Out Weatherman by George Carlin. And then what did Richard Pryor do? What was his character spinning out? Or was he just Richard Pryor?
It might have, no, it wasn't just Richard Pryor. It was essentially, and this is super nerdy stuff, but he did a version of a preacher. His
preacher shit was awesome.
Yeah, but he did the impression of a preacher, but his normal talking was like, when he came on stage to Richard Pryor, it was a preacher rhythm. And that's like really like just hypnotic. Like if you listen to like when...
You're right. No. Yeah. I love the preacher because the preacher was corrupt. He would play a corrupt, like he would have the money. He had all these jokes in it, man.
Yeah, I know, but I need for you to hear me. I'm not talking about his character, the preacher character. I'm talking about him, Richard Pryor, when he got on stage, being Richard Pryor, talked like a preacher, and he dressed like a preacher. Like all the clothes he wore, those loud colors, those were at the time, those were the tent preachers that went around. Like he was like
the red suit with the black shirt.
Yeah, if you watch like there was a contemporary, very very famous minister at that time. Damn, we does not let you remember.
It's hard. Well, obscure 70s.
Reverend Ike Turner. Ike Turner.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, Reverend Ike Turner, not the musician Ike Turner that was Tina Turner, but Reverend Ike Turner, who was a law of attraction / Baptist preacher.
Baptist?
So he wore really bright colors, and he kind of like dresses like what Cat Williams dresses like now. And so it was like very, like again, like this is one of those like super black things, but it's like, listen to Cosby too. Cosby has the cadence of a preacher. He doesn't just come on stage.
So does Sam Kinison.
Right. It's like saying.
It's public speaking. And you're trying to win over the crowd. Bill Hicks had a preacher style.
Yeah, but then you go like with white people, I started confusing because there was like two different. I used to go with churches, like because black people we have the get your own church, but the white people y'all have the other one. You have the Catholic, you have the Protestant, which bring up a lot of points, and then Protestant I'm not putting there, but Catholics bring up a lot of solid points. And you listen to Seinfeld, it's a lot. Even though he's Jewish, he still has a lot of solid points, and that shit like really like makes oh, that's like another dimension.
But the Black Baptist Church
Put your
has the
emotion.
best music.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I used to go to the Black Baptist Church in D.C. because we were Methodists, and then we would go down to the other one down the street.
Yeah.
But it would fucking rock, dude. The
Yeah.
music was a show. It was a vibe. It was love. It was. That's the only thing I'll say about that. That was my only note on that.
It's a great side note. So let's meander that.
Did you grow up Catholic? Did you grow up Methodist? Did you grow up Jewish? What did you grow up? Buddhist?
No, my mom. This is not easy. My dad grew up Baptist.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not easy because it's hard to explain. My dad grew up Baptist. My mom and them never really lived together. So
Right.
my mom just went around, grew up Pentecostal, but then she went to Unity, which is a non-denominational Christian.
Like
and
it.
then she had me go to a Jewish preschool, and so I had to go through the ceremonies of Jewish stuff.
Cool.
And then, so I was really confused.
But your
like
mom,
the entire time.
in my tattletale, like we said, your mom may have smoked some weed.
I mean, if you want to bring that up, weirdly enough. I mean, I'm not sure if you
I
want
was
to be
saying maybe
inappropriate.
weed was the religion.
I mean, weed, for black people, it ain't really a religion. I mean, maybe some of it. No, blind. There's
Just being
Rastas.
nice
There's
and being
Rastas.
kind.
There's Rastas. Nice.
Yeah, Rastas. I mean, just mostly like, I don't know. Maybe I was going too deep on that one.
I mean, you know what? Just if you can go there. Well, I ain't denying you. I just got to catch up. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm on this wave. I'm trying to catch up on your wave, baby. Let's make these things happen. Nah, man. I'm like, I love my, I love I went to a lot of different churches, and it's like it was, I don't know. I'm really got to learn that vibe. I like to learn just how to connect to people, and I started taking hypnotherapy classes and got certified in that, and just learning how how do you connect people and emotionally uplift them and whatnot. That was some new jazz. That was a big. I don't know what you did for COVID. What'd you do for COVID?
I would say, what's your vibe now on spirituality or God concept?
I love it. I love old God concept. I mean, especially if you get really nerdy on the whole thing. There's so many different perspectives and layers, and I started listening to this one dude who was talking about the metaphysical symbols of the Bible. And you go to so many of those people who talk about for example, there's one dude who argues that all the Bible is a scientific book that's symbolic for how our brains and body works on an atomic level. All things are one. So you go to Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve was a story. Not Adam and Eve. No, we'll start with the Jesus story, where Mary and Joseph are trying to born with Jesus. So everybody in the Bible being symbols. Every man in the Bible is your thoughts. Every thought in that Bible, every man in that room, you'll have that thought. Every woman is an emotion. It's just so. Think about that. So the symbol of Joseph and Mary was your thoughts and your emotions. They're looking around for someplace quiet so they can sleep, but everywhere is busy. So this is them having a problem. They can't get aligned with themselves. So you got to find someplace quiet. The only place quiet they can find is a barn. They find a barn, and that's when Jesus comes. And Jesus is your highest state of mind, where everything gets done. And then Jesus is born, and then in the middle of the night, wisdom comes with its gifts. So the next morning, you know exactly what to do. So basically we're saying, when you meditate, calm down, you'll get the wisdom to go solve all your problems. I don't know. And it was that one story kind of blew my mind. It's a good argument. And it's interesting because he keeps proving this story over and over and over in every story in the Bible and all these symbols. And I don't know, that made me go oh yeah, there's a lot of things going on in this world. This all is one. It's I don't know. And that when you understand and start to see things like that, it makes life much more fun.
Yeah, man. I'm all about the frankincense and myrrh.
Yeah, man. Frankincense and myrrh. That means, things.
That's what the wise man came in
things
with the funky weed.
Right, but when you come back in, when you come back, when you come out of a meditation, things look better, they smell better.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And then you can just
during
go
the
get out there.
pandemic, I've been meditating. We could talk about that. Let me check how much time. I don't want to take too much of your time. Oh, yeah, we're at 23. We can hang out 10, 15, 20 more minutes.
Well, hopefully my Bible story didn't bore you so much.
No, I didn't want to rush.
Bible's coming out. It's time to go.
No. I loved everything you said, and I'm on point with everything you said. And I was also saying, did you meditate during the pandemic, man? It seems like we're all here. It's so nice to see you, Seaton. We went through some shit from 2019 to now, and then coming out of now that we could podcast and smoke weed and eat Snickers and drink coffee.
No, actually it is. It was a fun 2019 and now it's been a very, very fun time. It's been glorious. It's been a nice kind of growth in life, and then you go, oh, hey, all right.
But I learned how to meditate. I got up to 40 minutes. Not to brag, not to go ego on it.
No, nobody's even arguing that. That's no ego at all.
I can't do it now. I haven't hit that mark in a minute. I'd go 20 if I can.
I don't think you should actually make it a cumulative achievement thing.
I read that the theta waves kick in. Well, there's like you're literally like my like meditation. You're healing your brain.
Absolutely.
And I think like we get older as men, like you want to watch out for getting strokes and dehydrating your brain.
Absolutely.
So I think meditation, you're kind of like healing. Like I'm more into healing, and that's what also like you're doing a lot of MMA stuff.
Yeah.
What's that vibe? Do you enjoy that?
I do enjoy it. I enjoy that it makes me uncomfortable.
Physically fit too.
Makes me fit, but that's not the problem. That's not the reason I do it. Like that was a byproduct. If I do things for physically fit, then I would get bored because then I'll be like, I would get to a point and be like, all right, well I'm done. I'm fit now, and I would stop. Like that's what happened every time in my life. But then like if I have a larger goal of like just learning techniques, learning craft, getting better every day, then it's better. So that's why you start meditating, because meditating also is a process of learning how to be calm and be aware. And when you're fighting, you like have to work on that muscle of learning how to be calm and be aware of like, where's my center at? Because it gets jarred with every movement. So
and you're
like,
problem solving, so you're using your brain, and that's making you smarter. So I think it probably definitely helps with making you smarter. I think.
But it also makes you aware because you can't really think when you fight. There's like layers. There's so many things happening.
And that's always the funnest part of life is when you don't have to think.
Yeah, so but it's like thinking and not thinking, where it's like you got to give your brain general directions versus specific. I have to make this happen. No, I got to get in this position for something good to happen, which is like a nice philosophy of life, because sometimes in life you'll want this exact thing, and if you don't have this exact thing, then you're miserable, not really seeing all the blessings that you have now on that journey to the thing you have. And it's like, like that's what fighting really makes you merely aware. Like if you decide that you're lost to fight, then you're lost. If you decide that you won, then you have a chance. And you have to see an opportunity. And it's like every day I get to remember that little lesson. And that's what's weird about life. Like the most important lessons of life, I got to keep remembering every day. You don't just go, all right, I figured it out. Nah, you got to see it in another way, which is, again, all things are one.
Yeah, and it's not that easy, man. There's so much going on. And to live like really present in the moment is like, you got to work on it every day. But when you get to that moment, you're like, yo, today is dope.
Yeah.
I'm living it. Yeah, there's a lot of shit going on, but shit does work out if you go with the flow. And, if you keep working. I think not giving up is a lot of it, with jiu-jitsu and doing MMA type of stuff.
Not
it's
giving
like
up
not giving up. Like that idea of because I wrestled, I was third, not to brag, but I was third in the state.
So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. You're in Virginia, where it's like the farmland. I mean, that's a big deal. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, but I did it since I was in the third grade, and I stopped like senior year. I was burnt out on it because mentally it's really wearing, and it wasn't naturally to me, but I just knew it, and I knew all the techniques, and I did like the mind game, like you do, doing skill like. As growing older, I want to play more chess. I want to read. Are you reading books now? What are you reading now?
God, ever since I started fighting, I stopped. I used to be a big fiction dude, and then once I started fighting, I started getting really in love with details of life. Because like they could spend every time with little movements in fighting, like a jab. You could spend 6 months talking about a jab and not cover a quarter, a piece of what entails a jab. So you're like, ugh. And so, so the whole.
Where to position your feet, where to put the energy.
Hip rotation, leg rotation,
how fast to pull out. Yeah.
Different philosophies of what a jab should be used for, when, where, like height-wise. It's like just so many
That's so
twists.
cool you're getting deep into this. Because I'm trying to play guitar, and I want to go deep, but I just haven't been able to have that much time. But
it's overwhelming.
It's a good thing, but you kind of got over the fate, because you weren't doing, like, when you were 27, were you fighting?
No, I had no time. I had a job working 14 hours, and I was just doing stand-up at night, 7 days a week. So I just was trying to get funny and get out. And and then once I actually had like all day free, that started to freak me out, because I was like, because I also was trying to work hard so I don't have to think. So I was like, oh shit, I'm thinking.
It's hard with stand-up, because the idea of stand-up, you've got to think in order to get the ideas, and then as you get older, and we're all talking about mental health, the idea is not to think. So you're kind of always battling that, but to you take that energy and do something physical, I just think is dope. And you're saying like learning the techniques is dope. How's your body holding up? Just like, do you do double leg takedowns? Like you're kicking and shit.
Yeah. How do I hold up? I mean, I didn't do anything crazy in my 20s. I think a lot of dudes who either retire in their 40s, either burnt themselves out, like you said, you get burnt out. And there's another dude who like Chael Sonnen, who's really big and popular. He says like, yeah, so people think old age happens in your body first. It's like, nah, it's in your brain first. You just don't feel like going anymore, so you're bored. It's like, I can do that already. I don't feel like learning more. It's like you're not inspired because you're artists. You forget that martial art is an art. And so like I've been as a burnt out artist, I'm just told, oh, create more jokes. You're like, yeah, but I don't care about that thing. Well, that's not right now. That's called selling out. It doesn't matter if you don't care. Write a joke and move on. It's like, and that's what it is. Like, I don't care if you don't want to fight right now. It's fight night. It's pay-per-view. You got to feed your family. Get out there. It's like,
you get dropped in front of all these people. There's nothing. I mean, dying on stage, but getting pinned when I was young. That is the most demasculating thing. Like.
It is. I agree.
Fucking getting pinned and there's like teenage girls around, dude. It was brutal.
Grappling is a really emasculating kind of sport. You really gotta like.
So with fighting, like it's either you win or that's that concept of you win or you lose. Win or you lose.
My thing is, I went into fighting, turning off my ego because I was like, I started at 33, so I'm not going to be too good. I'm not gonna be good. So, knowing that, because like with stand up, I had my ego all my ass, and so like with this, I was like, I need to actually do something.
Not you, but me.
No, it happens to everybody. Like, just like having moments. So I was like, I need to do something where I don't actually expect me to be the best. So I'm fucking depressed all the time when I'm failing. So then it just taught me how to just really celebrate my little successes and celebrate the details and celebrate the process and celebrate. So then that made just comedy much more fun. Because then, especially being around a master like Mulaney, then I started to like really nerd it out. Like, oh, that little detail I never noticed. Why you do that? Oh, that little detail. Why you do that? Why you do that? Oh, and so then that just made me like start to apply, and then like just really just be giving a fuck about comedy again. It's like now I'm like saying things that I always wanted to say before. Like you were talking about before, like how do you find your truth, or how do you like figure out what you want
what
to
am
say?
I trying to say?
What are you trying to
What's
say?
What's behind it?
Yeah.
What's behind it? Like technique is cool and everything, but what's the energy behind it?
Right.
And what are you trying to say? Because you listen to your own tapes, you're like, I don't know, for me, because my style was just so goofball and out there.
No, I'm absolutely.
So, and we've had so much chaos since 2000. I didn't go hard in the paint. I've been doing this podcast with stand-up. I put out an album in 2019. That's the last thing. I want to get it together and put something out there. So I'm thinking about what am I trying to say with this shit?
Yeah,
and what are we all going? Because what do I want to say now? Because it's so funky.
This is me being just a snob, so please dismiss it completely.
Cool.
But whenever I hear a great joke from a comic, it's always because I'm like, oh, you're hitting all the notes right now. Like you're hitting the relatability, you're hitting your own voice, you're hitting a great argument, you have your own great act out. This is like you. Nobody else can take this joke. Nobody can say it.
Yeah.
This is your slice of life. And that was one time, again, like 15 years ago, when I heard you do this one joke that had nothing to do about nothing. But it was like, do you want me to fuck it up, or do you want to say it?
You do the joke. Yeah, I was talking about, because they always said Redskins. I mean, I grew up in D.C., and it is a racist name. I say now, this is another joke. I'll just do two quick ones. But
talk it out.
Redskins, it was a racist name, but they didn't need to change it to the Commanders, all right? They didn't need to change it. Commanders, that's whack. Nobody wants to be commanded. Why do you want to command?
That's funny.
But Redskins, all they needed to do is change it just a little bit. Instead of the Washington Redskins, they should have called it the Washington Redskin Potato Salad Football Team.
No, that wasn't. See, I love those two jokes, but that was the secondary joke. No,
that was the secondary.
No, the joke I really, the joke I really liked was like people call you a bandwagon. Call me a bandwagon fan. I'm like, man, fuck that shit. A bandwagon. When you start winning, then I'll start showing up. I got shit to do with my life. I got laundry. I got kids to feed. It was like one of those. It's like, it just hit that note where it was like those two were like, yeah, that's unique, but that hit the soul. It was like you weren't trying to be nothing. You were just like annoyed, emotionally, and that to me was you. It was like really like you saw the world really simple, and you kind of looked at them like they're weird, and that was to me was like the great thing. Like, that was kind of the funny thing. Was like you always kind of pointed out your own weirdness. Like, no. The funny thing is, you're right, they're wrong, and that is the heart of your whole act, in my opinion, 15 years ago.
Thank you.
So if you ever want to try, that might be the nugget.
Yeah. It was they called DC fans bandwagon fans, but I got no time to see and watch you lose. Get your shit together.
Yes.
Yeah, I got laundry. I got and it was right when I was turning like 30. You know that moment where you're like, dude, fuck being a cool guy. Fuck what other people think. I really got to survive in this fucking weird capitalist world, mentally and emotionally and financially. And dude, I ain't got time to put my time into your sports game if you suck. Because if you follow a team and they suck, like, you know, when you start watching football and you tie yourself and they start losing, it like bums out your whole day and shit.
Yeah.
But when you're 30, I was like, I got no time for that.
And I just want to just energetically speaking, notice the passion that you have behind that versus before the two jokes you had. You know what I mean? Like, the other two jokes ended. This hasn't ended. You still have more to say. You still have bothered. There's still energy. I'm ready to hear more of this shit. Like, it's really like, this is what you got to say. I'm excited to hear this shit next year, homie.
Yeah, this is where I need to go. You're right, Seaton.
Yeah.
You know, I love the simple things with comedy. And that's what John Mulaney is a master of the simple things. Birbiglia is a master of the simple things. Like Hedberg was a master of the simple, you know, just like, that's that good layup in stand-up when you just go, boom, boom. And it's not too fancy, and it's not, but it just hits the mark, you know.
In my nerdiness of studying comedy, I realize this, and this is a universal thing in everything, but it's about people. I used to think it was about the idea. It was about the event. It was about the next plot point. You know, it was about the next crazy thing I did. It's like, no. It's about people. That makes sense. So it's like, I didn't love Patrice O'Neal because of his, like, great technique and I loved him because he was talking about my story. And so it was like, oh, that's my problem. Oh, man, please talk about how you beat my problem. Like, he was my hero for my problems because he was talking about people. You know what I'm saying? Like, even, and that right now, it was like, the other two jokes were, again, they were clever ideas, but that was about you and them and that like the specific motherfucker fucking with you on your day when you got real shit to do who's getting in the way of your people you love. Like, that's what happened. That was like a dynamic scene. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the shit I realized, that's the heart of comedy. Every great comic, you see the motherfuckers that's in front of them and you see the people they love and you see who's getting in the way. Like Bill Burr, great example. You see him get angry.
He's so fucking masterful. Like, I hear him on XM and I'm like, oh, man, it's just so much good material now. The last 10 years has just been like this.
Yeah, but he's never angry for himself. He's not a selfish, angry person. He's always passionately angry for somebody else out of pure love. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember his great Disneyland story. He's going there, fucking talking shit about Disneyland, but he's talking about, his whole point was, I want to make those kids smile. If my kids smile, fucking worth it. And you go like, God damn, you're a genius, Bill Burr. It just make me fucking feel good. Yeah.
Telling the truth, you know, is good, and you have to tell but everybody's truth is different. Like, Bill Burr's truth isn't your truth. But I think that's what's awesome about Bill Burr. It's undeniably funny. No matter if you agree with it or not or what it is, he's definitely going for the funny chord, but he's trying to say something. But I don't know. It's just like sometimes when I get too preachy, as we say, I don't get the laughs.
He ain't being preachy, though. I think preachy.
Yeah,
I think we confuse and conflate. This might be a private conversation, everybody. But
yeah, we're getting a little stand-up nerdy on this one.
But it ain't preachy. It's the difference. We hear rants when he's actually in the middle of a conflict. He ain't yelling at nobody. He's yelling at the person he loves. He's yelling at motherfuckers in his way, and it's like it's a scene. He's doing a scene. He's not doing a rant at you, and that's like the little millimeter difference. You know what I mean?
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can rant all you want, but as long as you're ranting in a ridiculous situation, you know what I mean? Like, if you're standing up, you know, if you're standing up for your rights, you know, but it's in a situation so you can pee in an alleyway, you're being ridiculous right now. Rant all you want. It's enjoyable. It's like a kind of a lesson you learn from long form improv. But you know,
that's what I thought right away when you said that. Bill Burr is like a scene. Like, if he went into an audition right now and did one of his like bits, it would just like, you're like, of course, that's what it is, you know? Yeah. It's just like, it's almost theater. It's beyond stand-up. It's almost like advanced theater, you know, advanced theater.
No, he actually, it was like, especially after that 2012 special, it was like he really hit a groove that's just...
And he came from like, you know, Funny Bones in Boston Comedy Club, and what you do learn from those cats is like the best of those, you know, road dogs are really, really good, you know. There's a lot of mediocre, but the best are like, oh, shit.
I mean, him, Patrice, and Louis just had this whole, like, it's almost like a ninja class. Like, they all have the same style, but they did it all in their own different way. But you could tell their roots are the same, style-wise.
Yeah.
Just the arcs, the arguments, the scenes, the improv to get there.
That's New York 90s grime and grit. And stand-up was fucking slumping in the 90s. I got in 99, but people don't, that's why Attell is so fucking funny. Yeah. That's why Patrice is so funny. That's why Bill Burr, nobody's killing like those cats. Because stand-up was going down. When I got in, there was clubs closing. There was weird dudes from the 80s that were like you doing these weird old hacky acts that
'Cause
and
the
nobody was showing up.
Yeah,
Like they
the
had to
philosophy.
give away tickets.
Philosophy back then was all like, get your act and then keep it and then live it forever. And then those guys were like, nah, keep writing, be somebody.
Yeah. Those
And
guys
that
were like,
shit-
don't be hacks.
Don't
Don't
be
be
hacks.
hacks. So that's the
Yeah.
number one rule. That's why I came to New York, and that's what was cool about coming up in San Francisco. Like hacky shit. It's gotten weird now with all the likes and the thumbs up and all that shit. But back when I started, like, it just was like the hacks could not make it so far. Like the upper echelon was not fucking with your hacky ass
Yeah,
act.
the demand for content now is like putting you in a position where it's like, well, y'all are asking for hack shit.
Yeah.
I think we're getting the sign. We done.
Yeah, we're done. We got to
done.
wrap it
We
up,
talked
my
it
man.
out, Thank you for the talk, dude. Appreciate it.
Seaton, we're
I
at
rambled,
we're right about at a good time. I have another guest that came here. We're running late. You're too cool to do it. You want to plug your website or where people could see you?
SeatonSmith.com. Watch my special at YouTube/SeatonSmith.com. Watch the special. Special's awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna release the Strokes. It's gonna be a mini special where I opened up for the Strokes. I want to release that footage. I just haven't done it.
What was opening like for the Strokes? Was there any weed in the back? I guess that we can make that a quick question. Was there any weed in the backstage, or those guys ain't smoking weed? Those guys are beyond it.
Yeah, only weed from me. They're all sober.
Yeah, they're all sober.
I was
They
the
went
one
too
sober.
hard. They went too hard.
They live life hard. And so like Julian's just one of the most warm human beings in the world, and I just like hanging out with him as a human being. I'm like, I wish we were friends when we were kids. He was like, nah, I was crazy back then. I was like, yeah, I was crazy too. So like we met each other perfect time in life, so it's kind of nice. So yeah, man. Blessing. It's a great blessing. 2023 is a blessing year. Thank you, 2023.
2023 doing Madison Square Garden, opening for the Strokes. It couldn't happen to a nicer, cooler, funnier dude. Seaton, I love you, man. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, next year, by the way, a movie called My Hero is coming out that we shot this year too. So check that out.
Check out My Hero. Seaton Smith, My Hero.
All right. Thanks.
Peace.